Today on the Travel Magazine, we'll go to two cities where people can still make religious pilgrimages. Santiago in northern Spain is where you'll find St. James Cathedral, the destination of pilgrims for hundreds of years. But first, we'll go to Jerusalem, a 4,000-year-old city that is a holy place for Jews, Christians, and Muslims alike. Jerusalem. Her name means City of Peace. Yet, wars have raged about her in centuries past. But through it all, she has retained an ancient aura of sanctity. Hello, my name is Jake de Boer, and this is the Travel Magazine. When you plan a vacation to Israel, it's not just a holiday, but kind of a pilgrimage to the Promised Land. In the first half of today's show, we'll look at Jerusalem and a series of highlights that you can include in your trip to the city of David. At the center of Jerusalem is the Old Walled City, an area of about 1 square mile. It is made up of 4 quarters, a Christian quarter, a Muslim quarter, a Jewish quarter, and an Armenian quarter. Each quarter has areas of interest for pilgrims of the Jewish, Christian, and Muslim faiths. What is remarkable about Jerusalem is that all of these holy places can be found within walking distance of each other.
I think the country has a very interesting way, and certainly Jerusalem clearly does, of at one and the same time uplifting, really inspiring people, and at the same time helping them to bring their faith down to earth as they walk in the footsteps of Jesus and to touch the stones of this city.
Located in the southwest corner of the Old City, the Muslim Quarter is where you'll find the Dome of the Rock. It is the 3rd holiest site in the Islamic religion, next only to Medina and Mecca. Underneath its golden dome is the spot where the Muslims believe the Prophet Muhammad ascended to heaven.
It is the mount, of course, which is associated with what we in the Jewish tradition call the binding of Isaac. Abraham's faith had been proven beyond all doubt. He had been ready to offer his son. And surely there is a commonality here in that Jews, Muslims, and Christians all look back to Abraham as their one father, and in this have a kind of unity, something uniting us in our common ancestry.
On the southwest corner of the Old City, between the Muslim and Jewish quarters, is the retaining wall of the Second Temple. The Western Wall, or the Wailing Wall as it is known, is Israel's most sacred site. Thousands of prayers are written and stuffed in its cracks. A boy is lucky indeed to have his bar mitzvah in this most holy place.
Increasingly become a tradition of many families like to do this at the Western Wall, and we do it usually on a Monday or on a Thursday, those being the days in which we read from the Torah, in addition to the Sabbath. And increasingly, there are Jews coming from abroad as families, or sometimes extended families and friends, bringing their children to celebrate. And it leaves a memory that the children never forget.
The Via Dolorosa traces Christ's path after being condemned by Pontius Pilate. The route leads through the modern-day Muslim quarter and is marked by 14 stations that represent events related in the Gospels.
Each of these stations are commemorated where people can pause to read the appropriate scriptural passage. It is literally walking in the footsteps of Jesus, coming ultimately to the Holy Sepulchre, which has been a magnet of veneration and piety for countless Orthodox and Catholic pilgrims over the year. There's also a tradition here in Jerusalem of the Garden Tomb, located not far away, just outside the city walls, which during the last century has become a great attraction and source of immense inspiration to many Protestant pilgrims.
First came here in 1945. At the end of the war, I was flying back from the Far East.
Yes.
I got hooked on the old Holy Land. Everybody does. It's magnetic. Draws you back. There's always more and more and more to see.
You've come here for the last 3 or 4 summers. Do you think this is where Jesus was buried?
It could well have been so. We never make that claim. All we say is that what you read about the crucifixion and the burial and the resurrection of Jesus, what you read in the Gospels, you find in this place. There were a lot of children who stood in that tomb with me and openly, in front of their peer group, openly wept in a complete, perhaps for some of them, a new awareness that Jesus was alive and risen. That was marvelous.
The travel magazine will be back in a moment when we'll see what else Jerusalem has to offer. The King David Hotel is more than a luxurious hotel. It has seen the great and powerful pass through its doors and has even been a part of modern Israel's history.
Actually, this hotel became the Blair House of Israel for the last 15 years since Dr. Henry Kissinger did a shuttle service between Jerusalem and the Arab countries. Since then, we hosted the most prestige people around the world. For example, President Bush, before he'd been elected as a president, the last President Anwar Sadat of Egypt, 2 weeks ago the President of Italy, and the Prime Minister of Italy, and the Foreign Minister of Italy. Not long ago we had Mrs. Thatcher here. So every couple of weeks we have any other delegation who's coming to the country is staying at the King David.
I understand the hotel has a very interesting history as well. Can you tell me about it?
The hotel has been built about 59 years ago, and it was the shelter of Mr. Menachem Begin, who bombed it in 1948. Since then it became a part of the history of Jerusalem.
The King David Hotel also offers a good view of the fortifications of the old city. The Citadel, or Herod's Palace as it is known. The Church of Dormition, within whose walls you'll find David's tomb and the room of the Last Supper. And just to the west, St. Andrew's Church, the Montefiore Windmill, and the road to Bethlehem. One of the best places to view the old city from is on the Mount of Olives, directly to the east. From there, you can see the Dome of the Rock. This is the Golden Gate, through which the Jewish people believe the Messiah will enter Jerusalem. one of the northern gates, the Damascus Gate, leads us to the Oriental Market.
You always have to bargain in the old city, not only because you want to get it at a cheaper price, but also because it's part of the culture. I think probably there'll be less respect for you if you didn't bargain.
There is much to see and do, but you'll be in good company. People from every nation come to experience Jerusalem, a focal point for many world religions. But listen well to these words from Joe Pesanti.
When you once come, for sure you come another time. According to your possibilities, every 2 years, every 3 years, every year, but it is a good thing to do.
He who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord watches over you. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. The sun will not harm you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. The Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore. Our next stop is another holy city in the northwest region of Spain called Galicia. Deborah Burgess makes her pilgrimage right after this.
Welcome to Santiago de Compostela. There's been civilization here since before Christian times, but it was here amongst the Celtic and Roman ruins, it's reported, that early in the 9th century a hermit named Pariah saw a star in the sky and discovered the remains of St. James the Apostle. At that point, Santiago became the third most important city in all of Christendom. After Jerusalem, after Rome, the faithful journeyed to Santiago de Compostela and worshipped the Apostle at the cathedral that bears his name.
First, they make a little church, very little one. Then they make another one, biggest one. Then in the 9th century, they begin to build the biggest one, almost a cathedral. The other ones were little churches. And this one is from it's beginning in the 10th century, in the early 10th century. And it was end last century, I'm sure. It's like a body, it's growing.
The people that visit the church today, or visit Santiago, when they make the pilgrimage to Santiago today, what do they expect?
We have different people. We have pilgrims who come on foot. They still believe. They come moving for a very deep reason. No, they can 2,000 miles. They can walk to arrive here. And some of them in winter. You know what I mean? And other people just for tourists. They want to visit the town, an old town. Some people, just scholars, you know, like the Eton College come here to have some photos and to learn Romanesque just inside the cathedral. It is the most important work in the Romanesque style in the world. 800 years ago, Master Matteo finished this work. This is the door of the cathedral, no? The main entrance. Mm-hmm. It was thought to be seen from the square, but now they cover during the 17th century with that. With such an awful door.
What do we see up around this arch?
Yeah, this arch represents the glory. It's found in a text of the Apocalypse. So you can see a group of 24 old men of the Apocalypse playing instruments, musical instruments, around the chair of the Lord. You know? These 4 figures you can see here, they are part on this side of the left side of the arcade. They represent the Old Testament.
Yes.
The first one is Moses, the second Isaiah, Daniel,
yes.
and Jeremiah. Michelangelo used this face, the head of Isaiah, to make his Moses.
What about the center column where I see everybody placing their hands on the pillar?
From the beginning, 1,000 million pilgrims was putting their hands here and asking for 5 wishes. Yeah? They have the 5 holes in the branches. In the other side, the Master Matteo, the author, has a portrait of himself.
Yes.
And the students go to knock before the exams. I want to be as intelligent as you are, and knock him. It's unbelievable because a million people during 800 years was putting his hands and asking for wishes.
The pilgrims that have come over the years have brought gifts to the church.
Oh yes. We have our treasure. The treasure of the cathedral is one of the best in the world. It's unbelievable. We have English Rhodos, presents from Henry VIII when married Catherine, and another piece is not only the kings, but also the landlords and the counts and the important people, earls, all over the world. All the pilgrims, some of them, the wealthy ones.
Travel Magazine will be back with more from Santiago de Compostela and the fishing villages of northern Spain right after this. After visiting St. James Cathedral, make sure you walk around the old town of Santiago. There's lots more to see and hear. If you're thinking of following the trail of the pilgrims to Santiago, there really is no better place to complete your journey than at the Hostel de los Reyes Catalecos. It really does live up to its press. Not only do you get the luxurious appointments, but you really feel like you're part of the history here. And that's part of what a journey to Santiago is all about.
The Catholic kings Ferdinand and Isabella in the 15th century ordered to build a building for the pilgrims as a hospital and as a hotel. It has been a hospital until 1954, and from 1954 till now it has been a hotel. This is a 5-star GL Grand Lux, and is one of the 10 best hotels in Spain. Most part of it, about the 70 or the 80% of the furniture, are original of the 15th century, like chairs, like beds. The rest are copies, good copies, bad copies. The hotel has 4 patios with the name of the 4 evangelists: San Mateos, San Marcos, San Lucas, and San Juan. The 2 patios of the front, giving the front, are the original ones of the 15th century, and the 2 patios behind are from the 17th century. They were added to the original building. 500 years ago, when the pilgrims arrived Santiago, they get a piece of paper called Compostelana in the church, and with this piece of paper, they get 3 days of full pension free in this building. So today, the pilgrims who come by bicycle or on foot or by horse, at least 100 kilometers, and get this piece of paper in the cathedral, they can get the same of the same 3 days of full pension free in this hotel with the Compostelana, the same as in the 15th century.
Santiago has one of the oldest universities in the country, so in the fall and winter, Santiago is full of students.
And with students comes nightlife, often winding down at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. Besides finding Santiago in this northern province of Galicia, you'll also find a cuisine famous for its use of seafood. If you get up early enough, you might find your dinner coming in off the fishing boats at Puerto Nuevo.
Naturally, any place that you find great fishing, you also expect to find great seafood. And Cumbaro is no exception. We're at Taberna o Peirao, which is the tavern by the harbor. And these are the cockles which come right out of the ria here. You pick it up with one hand, keeping the cockle closed. And then when you get to your mouth, you try not to drop it in. And the cockle falls in. Very good. Cumbaro is about 1 hour's drive from Santiago. It's a beautiful, beautiful village, and the food is fabulous, so I think it's worth a side trip.
If you come to Santiago de Compostela, make sure you take in all that Galicia has to offer: the cathedral, the seafood, and the warmth and hospitality of the Spanish people. I'm Deborah Burgess for the Travel Magazine. See you next time.